There are opportunities over the horizon. The journey to get there isn't easy, but there is a way. Over the last couple of decades and in executive roles, I have learned from some incredibly smart and capable people. From the gladiators, the facilitators, the builders, and the innovators of industry. So let's talk business, and let's journey together. My guest today is Mike Case. Mike Case is the author of Customer Devotion, which is required reading for Customer Engagement MBA students at Dallas's prestigious SMU Cox School of Business. Mike started his career as a consultant at Accenture and was part of the startup leadership team for Virgin America, where he led the transformation of the 30-year paradigm for airline loyalty programs. I really enjoyed reading your book. You talked about how Virgin America took the term passenger and referred to their passengers instead as guests.
We were going to do something completely innovative with a product, completely innovative with the service, and we were trying to be like no airline that had ever existed. And as I was searching for ideas of what the true mission of my team would ultimately be, I came up with the idea of guest devotion. A lot of companies are striving for satisfied customers, but satisfied customers aren't always loyal customers, and that's been proven with lots of research. So then companies want to strive for loyal customers, but loyal customers don't necessarily become advocates for your brand.
In that journey to customer devotion, in your book, you talk about 2 steps.
So the first metric you want to understand is what percentage of customers go from the first to the second transaction. Because if you get more people to the second transaction, they're statistically guaranteed to get more to the third, fourth, fifth. So you are guaranteed to put more customers into your higher value tier. I've worked with 40 different brands. Typically they put between moderate or no effort specifically on this challenge. I've got a brand new customer. I need to start doing things to ensure we get that second purchase in a way that's going to make sense, or a higher percentage of them. You see, they'll send out emails, but they're sending out emails across the board. They're often undifferentiated. They're not focusing on this challenge. The second piece of it is once you get customers to the steady state, you have your high value customers. And a way to understand the value of your overall customer base is to do what I call a revenue decile analysis. So what you're going to see is a heavy concentration of revenue among your very best customers. Typically in the top 20% of customers, you'll see that 20% of your customers are driving roughly 80% of total revenue. And there's another even more important piece of it, and it's the little known 2-25% rule.
Right.
So what you'll find in your business is as few as 2% of customers can be driving as much as 25% of total revenue. And you track them for the second year, and you figure out which of those customers spend at least half as much revenue or more that they spent during year 1, and we're going to say we retained those customers. You then want to develop incentives, benefits, services in order to increase both those metrics.
Right. So on the one hand, the bottom decile is that customer that transacts only once, and that you're trying to get to a second transaction.
Yes.
And on the other hand, there's that customer that really drives most of your revenue that you're trying to keep coming back.
It's interesting because marketers will spend a lot of time working on the 4th transaction, or and we want to work on everything.
Yes.
And nothing's easy. You can't take anything for granted.
But with limited resources, the focus is on the first transaction to 2.
Spend 90 to
90%.
100% of your time on these 2 challenges, and the rest of it is going to mostly work its way out. Again, getting more people to a second transaction, which then statistically guarantees more
high
people are going
downstream.
to, I mean, it's statistically a fact.
Right.
They're going to get more people up to this real high value tier.
Right.
And then on top of that, if you can start retaining more of the high value tier for a longer period of time, you've got revenue going up on both sides, and you've got a dramatically growing brand.
Cheers.
Cheers. Virgin America was a startup out of San Francisco, and when I interviewed with them, they kept everything very close to the vest because United and Southwest Airlines both had major hubs there, and anytime they learned anything about us, they would use it to plot against us because legacy carriers don't want competition. It was quickly incumbent on myself and the assets I was able to acquire in pretty rapid fashion to build and launch customer engagement initiative and program as we launched the airline in less than 3 months. I'd worked with airlines years earlier in my career. I knew about the shortcomings in the program. One of the primary ones being how you accrued miles. You could have 2 passengers sitting side by side on a flight. One of them could have bought a leisure ticket with a long lead time and paid $300 for the seat. The one sitting right next to them could be a business traveler who bought it the day before and paid $1,000 for the seat. And in this example, they both earned the same amount of miles. That doesn't make rational sense.
Right.
So with that backdrop, we built a program that awarded credit based on revenue, how much you spent. So if you spent 3 times as much for a ticket, you earned 3 times as much credit. When it came time to redeem, we had variable, fully dynamic reward levels that weren't just set based on destination, but also on time of day and day of week. We implemented this when we started flying, and we had an immediate competitive advantage over every other airline. We launched a first of its kind program in the airline industry, which changed it across the industry. It's changed it over the last decade. During this, I was approached by Blackstone about a position with La Quinta Inn & Suites. They had bought La Quinta Inn & Suites 18 months earlier. They were not happy with the performance of the brand. Anyone who knows Blackstone knows that they typically they don't buy an asset to hold it long term. They typically buy to either take it public or sell it in a 3 to 5 or 6 year horizon. So they recruited me, and I took a position, again, doing the direct-to-consumer, data-driven customer engagement marketing. Flash forward 4 years, we fully doubled the percentage of total revenue that members contributed to the brand. And in the latest Medallia Hub study, the La Quinta Return Study program was ranked number 1 among all hospitality programs, and ultimately facilitated a successful IPO.
There's a little plaque with your name on it, lifetime member. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. Well, the good people here at the Angry Dog, and many of which have now read my book, they do their own things to instill customer devotion or customer loyalty. So this is something they've been doing for a number of years. It was done the most recent time about 18 months ago, and I was lucky enough to be awarded a lifetime member plaque. And it's very strategically placed on the bar right in front of the TV I'm normally sitting in front of when I come in to watch hockey, because they have center eyes, so they get all the hockey games.
Hopefully you can walk us through the Deep Ellum neighborhood here in Dallas.
Love to do it. Would actually love to do it.
Thank you.
One of the things I like about this neighborhood is it's got something for everyone. I love both of these spots, Brick and Bones. I try to eat at one of those spots once a week. So Deep Ellum was first founded in the late 1800s, 1874 or so. By the 1920s, all of the best music clubs in Dallas were in Deep Ellum. And a lot of those musicians were the blues.
Right, and then how Deep Ellum got its name.
So it was originally Deep Elm, and the early residents pronounced it Deep Ellum. So that was done for a number of years, took on a life of its own, and then this area was just officially renamed Deep Ellum. And that also happened many, many years ago. So this is the Union Bankers Building, and this was built in 1916, another historic Texas landmark. And now all the new development around it has had to leave the facade of that building intact, but they're going to try to turn this into a hotel. So this is called the Bomb Factory. It's a live music venue. This was in the 80s, which is really before I was around Dallas, was like the live music place. So the Adams House building was built in 1914. Henry Ford selected Deep Ellum for one of his earliest auto plants. So he moved into Deep Ellum and ran an early Ford auto plant out of this building.
Mike, it's really a pleasure and awesome for you to walk us through Deep Ellum. A lot of history in this area, and I'm certainly coming out here to hang out.
Or I'll get a beer with you at one of these great bars.
Awesome, thank you.
All right.